Happy New Year's Eve, everybody! So today I want to talk about some of these strategies I'm going to be implementing in January so that I do not burn out in about 5 to 10 business days. Because I don't know about you, I have a lot of things on my list that I want to do or try, implement, achieve, whatever for the upcoming year. And I'm trying to prevent burnout, and this week is super busy for me. And so I thought this was actually a really great time to talk about this, in addition to it being the new year, is how I want to use January specifically to start implementing these things in a very experimental way. Like, it's so easy. Like, I'll have all these expectations, right? But that's part of what burns my ass out. So instead, I'm going to be doing experimenting and just seeing how things work with my schedule. See, like, what's a reasonable amount of time for me to dedicate to each thing that I'm trying to do, right? So I'm going to prioritize. I'm going to make a list of just a couple things to start with and start implementing those and just see how they settle, see where they land. See if I no longer prioritize them over something else. Like, because, I don't know. I don't know how it's all going to pan out, right? So I'm just going to experiment a lot more. And I think that's worked for me in the past. But I just feel like because I do have so many things on my list this year, I gotta rein it in. I gotta bring it back to my own reality and figure out what's actually really going to work. So being a busy week, though, I also need to think about systems. And a lot of times I think about systems not just in the doing, but also like in here because it's not hard. It's not hard for me to start down that path of thinking I'm not doing enough or thinking or getting that all or nothing wannabe perfectionist. It's not even perfectionism, right? It's like, it's just this idea. Trying to kind of cut down on that some, And so I think the systems for my pea brain right now is that I'm just experimenting and that I'm just going to determine the smallest amount of time that I feel comfortable working towards a specific goal. So let's say like I have like 10 minutes, a few days a week. And I'm just going to be okay with maybe that will be like my drawing time, and I'll just be okay with that little amount of time. It's all good. It's not going to hurt anything. I'm doing more drawing than I was before. And what's the big deal? You know what I mean? I think once I start making things a big deal or I start putting pressure on it, that's when it all just goes sideways. And that's when I get frustrated. And that's when I have just that negative self-talk, because I can do that. Woo, I can do that. I can talk all the trash in the world to myself. So I think setting up a system of not just the doing, but also not making sure. I mean, it's going to happen. I'm human, but reducing some of the chances of that, because then I can just expand over time, right? I don't have to pigeon myself all the time. I like keeping it loose, So I like having just a minimum amount that I'm okay with per week or month or whatever. I like to think about things in weeks. It just seems much more manageable for me. But I think if I have like an idea that it's like, okay, if I get this, that's cool, And some weeks I'm gonna some weeks are going to be less. That's just the way it goes. But some weeks will probably be more. So it'll all come out in the wash. You know what I mean? It'll all come out in the wash. So I think that's kind of what I'm up to, is not making things such a big deal, and really allowing some testing, because I don't know, I get mental fatigue. I do. I can work on something for so long, and then I really I get like headaches, and I just start feeling kind of bleh. So I need to also see what's going to work, which is work for me. And, it's the same thing with fitness. Ever since the accident, I've got like some nerve issues and, aches and pains and things that come up. So for fitness, I can just approach it however my body says to. And I really want to hone in more in terms of that with my mental my mental capacity. And I think that's not really talked about enough, you know? I really don't. I feel like we're always looking at these tips and advice on how to fit more in, you know, and even like implementing rest. But I don't think we really consider like our mental, sorry, this is so stupid. I'm really short on time. I have to get ready. But I think that we don't consider, you know, our own mental capacity a lot of times. So I don't know. I think we should be embracing that a lot more and including that in how we account for the time, you know. We'll just do the best we can, really. So that is my plan for January. I'm keeping it nice and simple, straight to the point. I have my list, and I think because this week is so busy, I think I'm just gonna pick up the easiest ones, like the ones that are gonna be the least friction to start, and then I'll just assess next week, you know, and just see how I'm feeling. But the less pressure, the better for me. It just gets. Does anyone else feel like that? Is anyone else like that though? Where you start really feeling the weight of it, even though like it's really not that big of a deal. You know what I mean? even though you're still doing more than you were before or last year or whatever, like you're still making more movement. You're still doing more. You're still trying more. So I don't know. I think that little bit of grace, that little bit of kindness, I think will go for a lot of the way, you know? And figure out like good times to rest and daydream and, you know, play around with all that stuff. So anyway, I think we got this. We got it. And I think at any point I get frustrated, take a day to reassess, you know, and figure out where the kinks are, you know, and maybe I have more energy at certain times of the day for certain tasks. Maybe that just also needs to be adjusted. You know, it's not that big of a deal. I feel like it's just not that deep. I feel like we make things mean way more than they need to. But that's my pep talk for today. Anyway, I know this is super chaotic. If you stuck around, thank you for hanging out with me. But overall, we got this. It's going to be awesome. 2025, it's going to be good enough. It's going to be good enough.